Well, I think you know where we're going with that one because, of course, a few weeks ago we were rightly taken to task for running down in a way Borussia Dortmund, but it was more that the media loved it, the sort of the reaction towards it, that people were, well, kind of uncritical towards Dortmund. But of course, it's great to see them there because they were a top club, fell down, especially financially, had to rebuild themselves. Dortmund, as we know, is a football town, and it was brought home to us especially by a season ticket holder, a man who's born and bred in the gold and black. And I'm delighted to have him back on for his for his return, not a debut, of course, it's his second time on with us, but of course, Steve Palmer, who is going to the game this evening. Steve, excitement is building up. What is the kind of feeling at the moment for Dortmund fans, you know, facing royalty, real royalty? Well, Real are royal, but they are royalty. Sorry, over to you, Steve.
Yeah. Everyone's really excited. The town is buzzing. I went over there a couple of weeks ago for the last open training session of the season. Everyone's really excited and looking forward to it. I guess at the start of the season, certainly we didn't expect to be in this position, and now it's here, and kind of the Henkel pot is within touching distance. Everyone's really excited and looking forward to the game.
Steve, in that, I mean, we're being honest here. We've been again with capital. We call it, we see it, and of course we discussed it before. Borussia are outsiders for this one. I mean, realistically, Real, if we're looking at the odds and going around, for example, for win chance percentage, it's almost 60% for Real and 12% for Dortmund that they would win within 90 minutes. Having 12% though, that's enough for Dortmund. That's a motivation because they really are a team that, you know, loves to, you know, spoil people's parties.
That's 12% better than 0%, isn't it? So we have got a chance, and I think being the underdogs has suited us this season. You look at our league form, we haven't delivered in some of the big matches where we should have been beating teams that we look better than on paper. So the Champions League, the pressure's kind of been off us all season. We had a really difficult group stage, and we came top of the group. We had PSV, who were unbeaten at that stage, and we beat them. And there were people that didn't expect us to do that. We beat Atletico Madrid, and then the semi-final. So we've been underdogs, not expected to progress all the way through the tournament, and now we're in the same kind of situation in the final, and I think that suits us and suits the mindset.
I mean, as you said, you know, being underdogs is not a bad position to be in, especially going against Real. Real, they're like with Ancelotti, they will never take anything for granted. We know that. But then Terzic as well, he's also going to give it a rattle. I mean, if you look at it, a bad season for Dortmund, it's still a pretty decent season where they finished fifth in the league, qualify for Europe next year. Run-in was not great with 2 wins in the last 5, of course, 2 losses as well. Not as bad as Bayern, who basically, you know, signed one of the huge names of European football. Harry Kane isn't one of the biggest names of European football, one of the best strikers going. Had a very good season for them, but they still only finished third. Do you think that this is a motivation for Dortmund, that if Borussia win the Champions League, they're straight in the Champions League for next year? Do you think that this is something that they'll be, you know, they'll want to kind of one-up Bayern?
I think, yeah, winning it would be fantastic, especially given that Bayern had such a bad season by their standards. And Bayern really tailed off in the last month, 6 weeks, didn't they? As soon as Leverkusen had won the league, it was kind of like Bayern's heart wasn't in it. And for such a long time in memory, like who can remember the last season where Bayern didn't actually win anything? So for us to win the European Cup, the Champions League this season, while they're down in the doldrums, would be absolutely fantastic. I think that would be the cherry on top almost.
Again, that's the local rivalry coming into it, which is, of course, extremely important, especially in Germany, where it is city against city. You know, again, with Munich, of course, they have 2 teams. Well, 1860 are you know, they're on the downers. we're going against Real, who are looking for their 15th European Cup. That, like, again, when we look back at the old records, when we saw Stade de Reims and so on, were the old teams back in the, at the start of it, and Real were really, as we said at the start of the show, royalty. People are saying, I've heard some very, very good things. For example, Al Jazeera, they were discussing it earlier on Friday morning actually, and they said that it's not a surprise if Borussia win. People will think, like, 1997 seems a long time ago, but Borussia Dortmund, and this is what they said, are far from dark horses. Is that sort of over egging the pot? Because in form, they're second only to Real in Champions League football this year.
You can look at it two ways. I think in a one-off game against Real Madrid, with their history, we are the dark horses. Like, no one expected us to be here. The fact that we're here and in with the chance is fantastic. But also, we're a big club. We haven't always won as much as we could, but we're a big club. And I think if you look at our form in the Champions League this year, we've been really strong defensively. So the team are going to be difficult to break down. So I wouldn't say we're on a par with Real Madrid by any stretch of the imagination, but there's hope. And that's all you can ask for.
It's true. I mean, coming up against I won't say in many ways, he is the greatest manager in Champions League history. 6 wins, 6 wins from 7 finals. Of course, 2 as a player, 4 as a coach. Superb coach, but he himself is not kind of, taking too many steps ahead of the band. He's basically said that, he'll be in a cold sweat this afternoon. And then he's prepared for it as well. He does feel confident going in. Like, I mean, he won it with Real 2 years ago, and again in 2014, 10 years ago. Do you think that Terzic, will he live up to it? Because we saw last season at the end, he started to get nervous, and you could see that his nervous energy, I believe, just from looking outside, seemed to be impressing himself on the team. Do you think that Eden will actually keep it calm? Will he be ready for a one-off game?
Yeah, I think the club, the team, the coaching staff, the players have actually learned a lot from last season, and the pain of that last game defeat. Well, they didn't lose, but it felt like a defeat. Losing the title on the last day of the season, that was a painful one. And I think, like, maybe part of the poor form this season in the league has been a knock-on from that. Champions League, they're taken away from that. But I think that experience, that desire to make things right, almost, I think they're prepared, they're ready. The players sound confident, and they're looking forward to it. So I don't think there is that, this is the biggest game of our lives. If we lose, it's the end of the world. I think they're a bit more phlegmatic and prepared.
Well, and that's the point, that this is a team that, this is a club that recently, it was 2021, won the German Cup. So we saw it again with a couple of weeks ago. I remember I told everyone that don't back Bayer Leverkusen, back Atalanta, because Atalanta had heartbreak in the Italian Cup, whereas Bayer were so good, but they hadn't been pushed. Now, of course, last year Real won the Spanish Cup. Do you think this is a one-off game? This is going to make a big difference, that that both these teams also have cup final experience? Because winning a league is great, but winning a cup final is a whole different beast.
Yeah, I think, like, they are a different mindset, aren't they? Playing in a cup final is completely different to a long campaign that very rarely comes down to the last game of the season. This is the sprint, not the marathon. And I think, having that experience of cup finals can be really important.
On that, so let's talk about the game later on. So So we're speaking on the day game early. So what is your plan for today? How are you going to take it? What are you going to do to get to the stadium? Because it's a late kickoff.
Late kickoff, 8 o'clock. So I'm about to leave and go down to London, check into the hotel. Then the plan is to go over to Trafalgar Square. There's a whole bunch of UK supporters clubs, fan clubs, that we're going to meet up in Trafalgar Square. Then the official UEFA meeting point for Borussia Dortmund fans is over in Hyde Park. So we'll head over there and then gradually make our way up to Wembley.
Is it organised going to Wembley, or are people just jumping on the tube and heading out kind of willy-nilly? How's it working?
There's a couple of things there. There is a fan march. But I've got a feeling that's going to be quite early, like 4 o'clock, because obviously they're pushing to get people into the stadium. So
yeah.
I think trouble is once you get up to the stadium so early, there's not that much to do, is there, outside of the stadium? So I think some people will be certainly doing the fan march, and then a lot of people will just make their way up on the underground, make sure they're there in good time.
It sounds good. And overall, for yourself, what are you, like we discussed it in detail and sort of both sides and the managers and so on. What are you calling?
It's difficult. I mean, I think it's going to be difficult either way. Like, we're not going to roll them over 3-0, 4-0. The last final we were in against Bayern Munich 2013, I said I'll take a 2-1 win, and I think I'll probably take a 2-1 win again.
Okay.
Maybe Marco Reus can get the winning goal just to sign off perfectly with his career.
That'd be, I'd love to see the odds on that. I think the odds would be pretty decent as well to get the winner, to get a score and to win. Be super. Steve, on that note, thank you very much. Enjoy your day. Have a superb evening out. I'm hoping for a good game. Of course, I would love to see Borussia win. I think Real are a deserving winner if they win, but at the same time, it'd be lovely to see Borussia get number 2. So the very best luck, Steve.
Thank you very much. I'll let you know how we get on.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Steve.
El próximo 1 de junio, todos los caminos llevan al mítico estadio Wembley, donde un conjunto de estrellas se darán cita en la gran final de la UEFA Champions League. Desde Londres, Inglaterra, Dortmund versus Real Madrid. A las 13:30 por RTS.